All right. Hey, this is Charlie Wills, the Charlie Wills team. We're back with Small Business Friday here. I've got Mike Johnson from Hausmann-Johnson joining us. What we're going to talk about a little bit, Mike, is what did you see in the balance of COVID? Like what adjustments did you guys make as a business? What adjustments did you make you as an individual at your own business? And then what do you see as the landscape for your arena and possibly, as we look forward here 6-9 months out, what do you see changing?
Yeah, for sure. Well, first and foremost, Charlie, thanks for doing this, man. This is a stroke of genius to allow promotion of small business here in the area. I mean, everyone's trying to be creative in how to do that. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, man. Appreciate that.
It's been interesting for us personally, going 100% remote. So we only had 3 people in the office because we still have mail to handle and things like that. That went way smoother than I think anyone was realizing. Yeah. A certain percentage of our workforce always kind of would work remote here and there. We didn't really have too many people doing it 100%. Mm-hmm. But I would say there was like a 2 or 3 day window where people were adjusted, and then it was just kind of like business as usual. Obviously, we had some with the kids at home and the spouse working remotely as well. People had those challenges, but after about 2 weeks, it seemed to just kind of like, settle in. The thing for us, though, is that as we're going through it, all of our clients were too, and everyone had a different shift with that. So some people, it was seamless. If you're more in, a professional services job, probably not that big a deal. Manufacturing, essential business, working through all that stuff. So it was all over the map with how people were transitioning and being in the service industry. You have to react to that. So just because we're going fairly smoothly doesn't mean our clients are. So we have to make sure that we're on the ball with that.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point with that, Mike, that everybody had a different scenario, and we're in the same place. We're service industry as much as they say sales.
Right.
Walk me through more of what that looked like. Maybe a couple examples of some service industry or other industries that you guys were serving that you saw probably the most fluctuation.
Man, obviously anything hospitality related. So if you're in hotels, restaurants, but even like nonprofits, think of like a nonprofit. All of their fundraising, they had to completely tear that off and figure it out. Like some of them got really creative with online galas, but all of that fundraising you can't do historically the way that you do it. Think of other organizations that are nonprofits that take in goods from the community to redeploy, the St. Vinny's of the world, the Goodwills of the world, things like that. That all got shut down too. So like the entire retail divisions would be, affected by this. Wow. So, people I think forget about the nonprofit impact. The for-profit businesses, people kind of can wrap their head around that, but the nonprofit, man, holy cow, like that's terrifying, quite honestly.
Yeah, we saw that a lot. I run my own charity with a bunch of guys, and we just talking to some of the other nonprofits like Second Harvest, Boys and Girls Club, United Way, you name it, like you hear like what they were struggling with. It was insane. The demand, of course, right? Like the demand goes up for those services, but yet then but very little can make either contributions or drop off supplies because we were in this
right.
I don't know what to do world, like nobody knew what to do. Right.
Right. So they got to be creative. They had to get creative and it was awesome to kind of watch, the real Michael Johnson from Boys and Girls Club and just the things that he's been able to do. It's been crazy.
Yeah, his leverage is unbelievable. What did they end up getting? Like 10 million?
I think so. I think it was something like, and then even like the COVID testing things that they were able to organize like in a couple of weeks. It's been cool to watch.
Wow, that's impressive. Yeah, it's totally impressive. And you're right. Somebody told me this. Necessity is the mother of innovation, right? Like pressure, like the good thing about a pressure cooker is that it forces the junk out, right? I'm not calling people junk, but like it forces, like when we have too much fat in the barrel,
right.
We, in all of our businesses, we all get a little bloated because we think we need to like keep expanding or adding things that maybe don't need to be there, but it pressure cooks that stuff out. And it makes you get real dialed in on what spoke you need to focus in on.
For sure. Think about what most businesses are really focusing on pre-COVID, right? They were expanding.
Yeah.
They were, some of them were really leveraging, debt and trying to expand and hire and just grow. And then it comes to a screeching halt. It's been kind of a breath of fresh air though, as well, because now you can reimagine your business, right? Especially for us, like I'm on the employee benefit side. All these organizations now have been disrupted and had to completely change the workflows, the employee culture, everything in the employee relationship, from how do you hire and onboard somebody to how do you make a staffing decision right now, right? So it forces us to reimagine and accelerate the things that we have to focus on, because we're talking about hyper acceleration now with all of our clients and prospects in the area that are dealing with the same thing. And they expect us to keep up and lead, not just trail behind.
Yeah.
So it's been fun to reimagine and be like, okay, a lot of this is going to be the new normal.
Yeah.
And it might've been a 5-year plan, but now it's a 6-year plan, or a 6-month plan, excuse me. So it's been fun. It's been challenging. But man, being able to reimagine and be creative and curious, that's huge.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're right. I think as much as it stresses a few people out, and, we all feel it. We all feel the pressure of condensed work, childcare, or school. Now we're all teachers supposedly, and I think this is a wake-up call that all of our politicians need to be paid what our teachers were paid, and then our teachers get paid what the politicians were paid. Like, honestly, this is not.
My wife's upstairs and she's a teacher. If she heard that, she'd be standing and clapping right now. I completely agree.
Yeah, and not a political statement, just more of it is a truth. Like, we all realize that we are incapable of doing what they do.
Well, and it really highlighted the BS around work-life balance and like how hard it actually is to have correct work-life balance. It's not like it's always here. It's going to go like this.
Yeah.
Man, now you talk about a pressure cooker in work-life balance. It showed that just like there's flaws in the American work life that it's hard to do work-life balance. I mean, it really is, especially when you have to condense it and put everybody in the same house for 8 weeks and not move. I mean, it's interesting.
Yeah, it is very interesting. It's funny. We went through an exercise as a team, and I'm grateful. I'm still getting coached at the same time. My coach goes, "Hey, guess what? Your perfect week that you thought you had, like, it's done. Reschedule it." And I was like, "Oh my God, you're so right."
Yeah.
So what it helped me realize in conversations I've had the whole time is like, we are more efficient. I think there's less screwing around and there's more production because everybody has 2 to 3 hours, maybe up to 4 hours in the morning, right?
Yep.
And you're shifting with your partner to help. They can go to work and like whatever that needs to look like. We are manipulating time all over the place to try to figure out how we give time to our family. How do we give time to our spouse? Well, I only got 3 hours. I better crank this workout, right? Like I gotta get after it, right?
Yeah.
So
that's by far the biggest challenge too, is because, as email traffic just completely explodes, it requires you as an individual to dial in on just handling more of that task right away. But if you are in charge of a team, you can't take away time from your team to be able to do that also. Right. So now you have to kind of figure out your new matrix and how you allocate time, and trying to manage a team remotely is tough, man, especially like I have all, salespeople on the team. So we feed off innovation and collaboration and being able to bounce ideas off each other and pull people into a room and just start whiteboarding some ideas out. Oh. Now it's, hey, can we schedule a Zoom call? So that's been a pretty rough transition too. Is just trying to keep everybody engaged and feeling a part of a team, especially salespeople that feed off of being in a group.
Yeah, I think especially salespeople. I mean, we're very well oriented that way. Is that it's service and sales here. So we did the same thing. We came up with, all right, let's focus. Let's call it 8 weeks, right? We have an end date in mind. Let's just call it that. Let's set goals for ourselves. Let's reorient our brain. Like we used to say, oh, we're going to have so many like personal face-to-face contacts. Well, now it's Zoom, but it doesn't mean that you can't have coffee on Zoom. Doesn't mean you can't, right? Yeah, there you go. It doesn't mean you can't have a beer on Zoom, right? Or in a driveway. So I said, like, you gotta refocus your brain, and we gotta switch our matrix a little bit of like how we're gonna make that happen. And it was great. It was like we did it every 30 days. We did a new routine. Like, okay, what worked that 30? what do we need to move to the next 30? And I'm seeing that from a lot of places. Like everybody said, okay, well, I'm going to do X. I've got these like projects, but I also know that I want to hit these metrics, right? Like,
Yep.
I don't know. I know it'll switch the workforce and it'll I think even though we're back to some, I'm not going to say normal because that never happens, right? Normal changes, but like
Yeah.
normalcy, like we're
Yeah.
getting out, going to the store, doing stuff now. I think that will change, but I really hope that we hold on as a society to like come into work, kick some butt, go home. Like,
Yeah.
I hope that stays.
I do too. Because it does require hyper focus. Like in sales or even in service, you can be a volume shooter, right? To use a basketball analogy there for you, Charlie.
There you
And
go.
put up shots left and right, and get your points that way. Now with Zoom and the pandemic, we had to be hyper focused. So if you were going to reach out to somebody, it better be with value. You're not calling them to pester them to say, hey, let me talk about our brokerage services and see if you're interested in making a change. You better bring some value, and your word choices really matter right now. So you got to be like laser beam focused on how you're doing that. So the good news is that a couple of months ago, we rolled out a new process for onboarding and sales for the entire organization. So we got to like dive into that as a team,
Cool.
and really, really hone that skill, which then helped the reach out and doing it, in a tasteful, sensitive manner. Because you can't just be acting like nothing's happening. That's just
Right. Yeah. Beyond that, like having to actually do the business, right? Like the primary focus is, are you okay? Right? Like,
yes, 100%.
right? Like that's okay to ask and have those conversations. Cause like we were surprised at like, because I think you try to block out whatever noise you can other than what you need to do. And then what we realized, and you guys are probably in the same boat, is that we forgot, not in completely, but we forgot to continue to call just our recent past customers and say like, how are you? And how's the house? And are you okay? And and then when we realized we didn't do that, or we weren't doing that because we were so hyper focused at what we had in front of us, it was like, oh, we need to be back to being human beings. Like we need to go back
Yes.
and do that. So that was one of those like ahas for us 30 days into the pandemic lockdown, was that like, we need to go and have conversation with everybody previously just to see if they're okay.
Yeah, and not only just them, but like our people. Are you okay? It's okay to not be okay. So you have to kind of have that culture of support and that trust to say, hey, dude, if you're having a rough day, just tell me between 0 and 10. 10, you're out there ready to kill it. 0, you need a break. So if you're having one of those 2 or 3 days or lower, tell me, man, and let's just work through it. So we did a big focus energy thing too, where it was, we called it 5 for 45, where you reach out to 5 clients to make sure they're okay and what's changed. Is there anything I can help you with? 5 prospects with that same message, but then work on yourself for 45 minutes, whether it's workout, whether it's meditation, whether it's research, whatever you need to do, but do 5, 5, 45 every day and focus that way.
I like that.
And, because mental health, man, is a big deal. I mean, and it's been compounded again through this pandemic, and you got to be sensitive to that with the people being thrusted into a new routine, new pressures, new stresses. It's going to happen. So just embrace it.
Yeah, right. Don't be afraid of it. Jump into it and lead through it. Yeah.
Yep.
Something I'll bring up, and I'm not saying none of us do this, but it's more of it was a really big reminder. To me, I'm going to pull it up here. A buddy of mine wrote me this text, and it was one of those moments that you think you're okay, like you're telling yourself, you're like, yep, I'm okay. And then I got that text message, and it wasn't like I wasn't okay, but it was more of like, what a support. Like the text message was more to just say like, hey man, I'm thinking of you and you're a great person. And like, it totally threw me off. And I had this, I was really emotional. Like I got really, like I've never gotten a text and like had a physical cry moment. Right. Like and I'm not saying that to be like a proud guy. It's just more of like, texts for me are typically like quick communication, right? Like they're not
memes.
Yeah, they're memes. Yeah, I'm usually doing funny memes to my friends. Um, but he just wrote something, and I'm going to read it out loud because I think it was a reminder to me that like we need to do this for others.
Yeah,
Um,
for
and
sure.
it hit me really hard. It said, "You are special. You're incredible at being a dad, a business owner, a husband, philanthropist, friend, and teammate." And
Oh, that's
that's
cool.
all it said. And it was just like, it literally was like a bang right to my chest. And
Yeah, dude.
I just sang it out loud. It gets me again. And um, the reason I'm bringing it up here because I want it to hit when the video plays. I want everybody to know that like we all need that, and we all need to say that stuff.
For
Um,
sure, dude. Like I remember it was week 2 of all this happening, and it was like 11:30 at night, and I was just hammering away at some stuff. And I just had like a moment of reflection, and I was just like, man, I feel like I'm failing at everything right now. I'm failing as a father, I'm failing as a husband, as a business person, I'm failing as a leader, just because it was so new and I was being pulled in so many directions.
yeah,
So I just hammered out an email to everyone, just saying like, hey guys, like I'm struggling today. I want you to know that it's okay to talk about this as an organization, and we all have to pick each other up. And here's kind of what I'm dealing with. And it was talking about like feeling like I'm a failure over the last couple of weeks, and I'm letting people down. But then as we, come together as a team and everyone's feeling that way, and we realize we're actually killing it right now compared to the industry. Like, let's celebrate. Let's make sure that we're talking about that stuff.
yeah.
So it's a powerful stuff, dude. Like, but having that trust in that culture is so important.
So important. And it makes you also realize like who's in your circle, right? Outside of
Yeah.
like, not that I don't, I mean, I love my team, I love hanging out with them outside of just the work piece. I'm talking even like your friend or family group, like how important that circle is. And then
Yep.
like what you need to do to keep that balance there, right? Because I think
Yeah.
as a culture, we tend to just go, you know, 110% at work, and then we like left over the rest of it versus like, all right, work gets 70%, and then I'm gonna push the rest of it into my friends and family, or vice versa,
Yeah.
however you handle it. But like, I don't know, it's just reframed a lot, and I really do hope culture just completely shifts in the United States.
I hope so too, because like it's over the last decade, it's better to be famous than good. It's kind of like the culture that has been
Yeah,
instilled. And man, you talk about a shift. The last 8 weeks, it's way better to be good than famous right now. Like, and just caring and genuine and
yeah.
whatever you need to do. So I really hope that I agree. I hope that kind of hits home for a lot of people and kind of stays.
Yeah. Yeah, just showing gratitude. Like we like I was giving you an example before we got on the recording portion of like having as many offers as we do come in on some properties. Imagine how stressed out those buyers are and those buyers
Oh
agents.
yeah.
Like just giving them a little love. Like what I've noticed I started doing about, I don't know, maybe a month ago is that every time we got offers, I was like, hey, thank you for all the time you're putting into this. I know this is
Yeah.
stressful. We'll get back to you. I'm not guaranteeing a win for you. I'm just more of like, thanks for all your time. Right.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy. Like people are like, oh man, thanks. I'm really dying here. I'm trying to do all the, and it's just like, yeah, they're human too, right? Like they're breaking down too.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
I want wins and victories, but I also want people to feel like no matter if you won or not, thanks for all your effort, because, a pat in the back sometimes is all you need.
Especially now.
Yeah.
That's 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, thanks, man. Any other pieces that you want to put, anything else you want to say based on our discussion or what's going on, or maybe your future predictions? Maybe what's your crystal ball for 6 to 9 months out?
Yeah, crystal ball for us is it's whenever we have a little bit of a downturn, again, people focus on their core competencies. And then obviously with benefits being the number 2 or 3 costs in a lot of organizations throughout the area, they're going to be hyper focused on the employee experience and cost levers right now, right? So if we can help them with one of those 2 things or both those things, ideally, that's going to be a win for everybody. So right now we're just really planning on exactly how to target that and be clear with how to help organizations, because there's a ton of stuff to navigate, and it's just focus on them. We're not here to tell you about like what we have. It's what do you need, and then let's get to work.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I feel like that's a lot of people, and that was beautifully said. I think that's that's what's going to happen for a lot of people. It's more of a conversation versus that salesy
Yes.
crap.
Yes.
Because people don't need that. They don't need it or want it. You're not
Nope.
winning anybody over. Like I had some, and this is not, I'm not going to use the person's name or company, but like I was out looking for something personally and didn't know the person. And obviously, right, I first time meeting them, and they kept calling me bro and buddy, and it was super pitchy, and I just like I was cringing inside.
Oh
Um,
my God.
and I stopped them and I just said, "Hey, this is I'm not trying to attack you. I want you to understand that. Please stop selling me.
Yeah.
Just tell me about said thing and let me make a choice, because then I'll trust you. Right now I don't trust you because you're pitching me every angle to try to make me buy that thing, and I'm not feeling it. I'm about ready to walk out the door."
Right.
And the person was like, I didn't even know I was doing it. And I was like, I know, I'm just trying to tell you because I want you not to do that, because I want you to be good at, I mean, obviously
Right.
you
You want you to
care.
succeed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to be successful, but can you stop? And the
Yeah.
person was just like, yeah, no, I didn't even know I was doing it.
Yeah.
So, I think sometimes just a little grace, like I wasn't calling you out to make you feel bad. I was just making sure that like you're young. I can tell that you want to get after it. Obviously you're working during COVID, right? Like, so you
Right.
want to get after it. So, I think sometimes too, being willing to like, not really call them out to make them feel bad, but just more of a like, whoa, hey, can you pump the brakes?
Yeah. For
Because
sure.
I've noticed that people are not interested in not having the conversation and getting to know the person. They just want the deal, right?
Right. I had a call yesterday from a prospect that I've known for a long time. So really good relationship. And they call and they're a little bit of a panic and they're like, "Hey Mike, what are you going to do? What would you do in this situation?" I just go, "I don't know. I don't know nearly enough about what is going on. I don't know the details. I don't know what the impact is. Can we have a conversation about it and actually like get into it? Because I'm not going to sit here and pitch you and use buzzwords to try to impress you. I need to know the situation way better before I even remotely start talking through it." They were kind of like taken back and they're like, "Oh, okay. That's the first time that someone said that to me. Yeah. Can you come in next week?" And I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." So it,
Awesome.
I don't care. Like I don't need, we don't need more business per se. Like I just want to be able to make sure that we're doing the right things, and looking at it through that lens is so important.
Well, you've hit a key point. I'm reading a book, and maybe it's just because I'm reading this book that it pops out at me. But you're in the influential zone, right? Because you were willing to say, like, I don't know anything about that. Can you dig deeper? Because I want to help.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
one-on-one connection right there stopped them. You went from like a salesperson to a trusted resource. You're at the top of the what's called the pyramid of influence. Like you're right there.
Yep.
So
Right.
I think that's really key right now. Is I think what was it? The three top things you can do. You can uh, write a letter,
Mm-hmm.
so a
That's
personal note, phone call, or face to face. Like those three things right now, if you can do them, you're gonna be in the influential piece of their life and their business possibly. So
especially the letter. That's such a lost art. And think about like the intimacy when you write a letter, right? It, there's something like romantic about putting pen to paper and actually putting your thoughts and your feelings down on something like that. No one does that anymore. It's a
yeah,
text, it's an email, it's
yeah.
2 or 3 sentences, but if you get a letter with somebody like really, really showing that you care and being genuine about that, that's powerful stuff, man.